Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and I'm doing an Amazement deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because it's been a while since I've actually updated this deck. And this deck is a wild ride to play with all the amazing trap cards you have in this build. This deck is super fun to be able to play and I'm really excited to show you guys all the changes I've made to this deck. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of our notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name scripted in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your patron. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of our boss monster, and this card is a really good boss monster, because it has the ability that once per turn, you can manage any number of attraction traps from your graveyard, and then target that many cards your opponent controls and destroy them, which is a really good effect. It's also super easy to summon to your field, because if a trap card is activated, you can just special summon this card from your hand, which is a really awesome effect. It also has the ability, if your opponent normal or special summons a monster to their field, you can target that monster on the field and then immediately equip an attraction trap from your deck to that monster, getting to any one of your attraction traps that you need. I then play 3 copies of the Attendant. Attendant is a really good 3 of in the deck as well, because it's the best normal summon we have, because when it's normal summon, you can instantly set one attraction trap directly from your deck to your side of the field, which is a great effect to be able to get to your cards. I then play 2 copies of Assistant. Assistant is a great 2 of as well, because it can special summon itself to your side of the field by revealing an attraction trap in your hand, which is a great effect to just get this card on the field. I then play a single copy of Ambassador. Ambassador I'm currently testing in the deck. I've found that 1 copy is really nice in this build, so I've been playing it at 1 in the deck and really like it. I don't feel like you need any more than a single copy of this card, but it's a really good 1 of. I then play 2 copies of Lord of the Heavenly Prison. Lord of the Heavenly Prison is a crazy powerful boss monster for the deck, because it actually protects our back row while also getting to our spells and traps. This card is absolutely a crazy powerful tech card in the deck, especially some of the trap cards I'm playing in this build, because during your main phase, you can activate this effect. This card becomes revealed in your hand until the end of the opponent's turn. And when it's revealed by this effect, set cards cannot be destroyed by card effects. And if you activate a set spell or trap card, then you can special summon this card from your hand. And if it was revealed when you special summon it, then you can reveal and set any spell or trap directly from your deck to your side of the field, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn, which is not that big of a deal, because we're usually setting a trap that we're going to immediately activate later on, which is really nice. I then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is just really good in this deck overall, just to stop the opponent from touching the deck, and it's hands down one of the best hand traps in the entire game. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Amazing Time Ticket. This card is a great 3 of in the deck, because it has the ability to pay 800 life points to apply one of these effects depending on whose turn it is. If it's your opponent's turn, then you get to set an attraction trap directly from your deck to your side of the field, and it can be activated this turn, but the effect that we're going to be looking for on this card is if it's during your turn, you get to add an Amazement card from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool effect to be able to just instantly get to any of your Amazement cards that you need, like your boss monster. I then play 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. We don't really need to go into the extra deck too much, so this card comes in extremely handy just to be able to draw 2 additional cards from the deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Eradicator Epidemic. This card is absolutely insane, because we actually have a bunch of targets in the deck. To be precise, I believe 5 total targets in the deck, because our boss monster is actually a dark monster with 2,600 attack points, and Lord of the Heavenly Prison is a dark monster with 3,000 attack points, so you do have targets for your copy of Eradicator Epidemic. And this card is absolutely crazy in the deck as a 2 of, because you can get to it really easily with your copy of Lord of the Heavenly Prison, and it can stop either all spells or traps, or all spells or all traps that your opponent has for the next 3 turns, which is really, really good. This card is absolutely insane in this deck. I then play 2 copies of Amazement Family Faces. Family Faces is a good 2 of in the deck, because it has the ability that you can target a monster that your opponent controls equipped with your attraction traps and equip this card to it. And then while this card is equipped to a monster, you take control of the equipped monster. And then while you control the equipped monster, it gains 500 attack points, and you cannot activate its effects. Also is treated as an Amazement Amazement monster, which is a great effect that you can just instantly flip this card up and then take control of an opponent's monster that's already equipped with an Amazement card. This card is really, really good as a 2-of. I did consider playing this card as a 3-of, but I ended up cutting it for the copy of Eradicator. I then played just a single copy of Rapid Racing. Rapid Racing is a really good 1-of, but all of your Amazement trap cards actually have a really interesting mechanic that, depending on whose monster that they're equipped to, depends on the effect that you get. If they're equipped to your opponent's monster, they get a certain effect, and if they're equipped to your monster, they get a different effect, which is a really neat thing. If this card is equipped to your monster, then you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard, or one card in your opponent's graveyard, change the equipped monster's battle position, and if you do, shuffle that target into the deck, which is a pretty good effect. Or if it's equipped to your opponent's monster, you increase the equipped monster's level by 1 until the end of the opponent's turn, and if you do, change its battle position, which can come in extremely handy, especially if you're playing up against a Synchro or a XZ deck. I then play a single copy of Merry-Go-Round. Merry-Go-Round is a really good 1-of as well. If this card is equipped to one of your monsters, then the equipped monster gains 500 attack points, and if it would be destroyed by battle or by card effect, you can send this card to the graveyard instead. But if it's equipped to your opponent's monster, the equipped monster loses 500 attack for each of your attraction traps equipped to a monster, which is pretty good to help you reduce an opponent's monster's attack points. I then played 2 copies of Viking Vortex. Viking Vortex is a really neat card in the deck because if it's equipped to your monster, then once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, negate the attack, and if you do, change control of the equipped monster until the end of the battle phase, which is a kind of interesting effect, especially if you have it equipped to one of your weak monsters. You can just give it to the opponent, and then at the end of the battle phase, you get it back. It also has the ability that if it's equipped to your opponent's monster, when the equipped monster activates its effect, return it to the hand, which is a kind of neat effect. I then play 3 copies of Horror House. Horror House is a great 3-of in the deck because it has the ability you can target, or if it's equipped to your monster, you get to target an effect monster your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of the turn, which is a crazy powerful effect. But if it's equipped to your opponent's monster, you change the equipped monster to face down defense position, which is a pretty good effect. That this card is a negate and a Book of Moon. I then play 3 copies of Coaster. Coaster is a really, really good 3-of in the deck. Cycle Coaster is just so good because it has the ability that if it's equipped to your monster, you can target a spell or trap that your opponent controls and send both it and this card to the graveyard. But if it's equipped to your opponent's monster, you get to add an Amazement monster from your deck to your hand and then send this card to the grave. This card is either an MST or a Searcher, which is really insane. I then played 3 copies of Thrill Train. Thrill Train is actually the newest attraction trap that we have in this deck, which is really cool. But this card has the ability, if it's equipped to your monster, then you can change the equipped monster's battle position, and then your opponent chooses one attraction trap in your graveyard and you set it back to your field, which lets you recycle through some of your cards. If it's equipped to your opponent's monster, you banish the equipped monster until the end phase, basically being a Farfa effect, which is really cool. This card comes in extremely handy in this deck. I then played 3 copies of Dogmatic Punishment. Dogmatic Punishment is a really good 3 on the deck just to give you a double pop in this deck, to be able to pop a monster with your copy of Dogmatic Punishment, and then when you send Elder Entity Nist from your extra deck to the graveyard, you'll get an additional pop, which is really good. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Utopia the Lightning. Utopia the Lightning is a great 2-of in the deck because it's super easy to make, because all you have to do is make a copy of Utopia first and then overlay a copy of Utopia Lightning on top of it. Now the really cool thing about Utopia the Lightning is if it attacks into an opponent's monster, they cannot activate effects, and then you can boost it up to 5,000 attack points, which is absolutely crazy to be able to do in this deck. And then play a single copy of Gallant Granite because you can search out Lord of the Heavenly Prison with this card, so I do play it just as a 1-of, just in case I need to search out Lord of the Heavenly Prison. And then play a single copy of Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos, because it's a really awesome card. This card is just super easy to summon because we have so many high level monsters that are level 7 or higher, so it gets that bonus effect that if it's link summoned using a level 7 or higher monster or monsters as a material, then your opponent cannot target it with card effects. Also, it cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects either, and if it destroys destroys a monster by battle, it does 15, or it can gain 1500 attack points, or it can make a second attack during the next, during the battle phase of your next turn, or it can instantly banish a card on the field and it doesn't target, which is really good. And then play a single copy of Access Code just to give us additional pops in this deck. You can play Boral Sword or Boral Load if you want to as an additional budget option over either one of these cards, because your copy of Blackluster Soldier is still kind of pricey and Access Code is as well, so you can change them out for Boral Load or Boral Sword or any of the Link monsters that you see that you want to play as a 2 of instead of a 1 of. And then play a single copy of Unicorn to spin stuff, Phoenix to pop spells and traps, and a single copy of IP, because IP can make Unicorn during the opponent's turn to be able to spin a card during the opponent's turn. I then play 3 copies of Elder Entity Nist. Elder Entity Nist is really good for Dogmatic Punishment, just to give us an additional pop. 1 copy of Skull Knight, because it does give us an additional pop, but we get to choose when we get it, because you can banish this card from your graveyard to use that pop instead of instantly when it touches the graveyard. So this card is just kind of a neat card to give us a 4th copy of Elder Entity Nist. And then finally a single copy of Wind Pegasus. Wind Pegasus is in here because you can use this card with your copy of Dogmatic Punishment, and then you banish this card from the graveyard, target a card your opponent controls, and shuffle it into the deck. I did actually consider playing 3 copies of Wind Pegasus in the deck, but that is an option for you guys. Something else to think about is Ultimate Slayer in this deck, because you have so many different types in your extra deck that you can use Ultimate Slayer to be able to get rid of your opponent's cards. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really fun deck to be able to play with. If you guys have never played with Amazement, I promise you, you're going to have an amazing time when you play with this deck. And this deck is just really, really fun to play with, because you can basically put any generic trap card in this deck. So anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell near scene, come part of notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.